So we worked together on quite a few projects. One of the first ones was Paul George, the NBA basketball player, and he is when he was still working here He's playing basketball for the Pacers. and he. Actually, we started that project like a month or two after he broke his leg.
Yes.
And that was, I also, it's such a funny project because normally my referrals are very linear. It's like you tell a client, hey, you should talk to Gavin, and then they call me. With Paul's, I remember he asked his gardener if he knew how to design studios, and his gardener said, of course not. No, I don't. But he's like, but I have a friend who has he designs speakers. And so he went to that guy, and he's like, yeah, I design speakers, but I don't design recording studios. And he's like, but this guy that walks his dog in the neighborhood, his son designs studios. Like, he was talking to me one day about it, and he just happens to live in my dad's neighborhood. So it's just a roundabout way to get involved with that. And I remember going over to Paul's house and seeing he had like a couple KRK speakers, an interface, and a microphone and a laptop. But we're building this awesome studio. And so I was like, do you have any place to buy gear? And he's like, no, I don't. And so I was like, I know the perfect person to talk to. So got you involved with that. And talk a little bit about like what your role in that project was.
On his, a lot of it, obviously you were doing the acoustic design and the design of the room. So some of that was, once we got the plan done, is like conduit, plans, making sure that we had been able to put our cable runs where we wanted to put them, electrical, working with Shauna's crew and stuff on the electrical stuff. And then, so I was like kind of like a bridge between all that. So a lot of people don't realize there's the acoustic design, then there's somebody who has to build it, and you have a contractor, which is pretty important to also have good communication with them. And then for me, as well as the integrator too, by putting the console in, design the custom furniture for that one, because that's when we were going back and forth. And what was interesting about the design and doing custom furniture for that room, which a lot of, the ergonomics of the room, was that the height of how tall he is.
Yeah.
So we were like, we have to make it comfortable.
Yeah.
And you don't think about just the walking and the lines and stuff like that when he gets into certain, because we ended up putting that upstairs and above his room.
Yeah. It was the thing I remember in our CAD package for that. We had a block of a 6'8" person that we kept putting in different areas to make sure that I didn't want him to have to duck his head to get around, because he has an A-frame kind of. It's above his garage area, and I just wanted to make sure he didn't feel like he was always having to duck down or anything like that.
Yeah, and I was trying to keep the furniture like with the racks and everything for the cable troughs and everything we put an SSL console in there, but with that and the outboard with the patch bays and everything to keep it like same thing when he walked around, and no matter where he'd walk or cut to get behind something. Yeah, that same exact stuff of how tall he was, because he's tall.
Yeah, he's a tall dude, and that's why when you and I got a photo with him, we made him sit down.
Yeah, he's sitting in the chair and we're behind the console. Yeah, we had to. Because it was like the first one, I think, I remember when we had those photos taken, I remember it was like, no, you got to sit down, man. I was like, we look like very small. Yeah.
So yeah, he had a control room and then a vocal booth, so he had a roommate BA at the time that was really into music as well, and
his sister did a lot of stuff too.
Yeah, and so it was fun to kind of convert. There wasn't a whole lot of layout choices that needed to be made because the rooms were actually set up in that way. We made a little bit of adjustments on the size of the room. Then we had to isolate it too, because it was like one of those things where Paul didn't want it to disturb his sleep, because the master bedroom was on the floor below, just a little bit off of there. And he's like, if people are in the studio late at night and I got a game the next day, I've got to be able to sleep.
And then also too, I think one of the most impressive parts of that room was, because when I tuned that room and everything, it sounded like just unbelievable. We got that still was that control room sounded amazing, but was the depth of the room and the way you did the bass trapping too. Right, that wall in the back.
Yeah, there's this weird like alcove that was back there, and we kind of built in bass trapping plus a little area for storage. The studios never have enough storage, and so it was nice to do that. And we brought in Triphase Technologies did all of the construction side of things, and Matt Call with Simplified Acoustics did the stretch fabric. Triphase did a great job installing all the kinetics clips and channel systems and all the isolation piece of things. Then Matt came in and did the finish work. And the end result, I mean, that studio, it's just such a bummer he got traded like a year and a half later.
Yeah, I know.
He had to sell his house, and I wanted him to sell his house to Victor Oladipo because he's a musician as well. But we ended up going over to his place and packing up all the equipment. It's a sad day.
I know. It was a really sad day.
Shipping it out to L.A.